Number 10. 1967 Plymouth Satellite. The 1967 Plymouth Satellite started as the top-tier trim of the Belvedere before becoming its own model. The Belvedere holds a special place in Mopar history as the first car to feature the legendary 426 HEMI engine for NASCAR, paving the way for the street version introduced in 1966. In that first year, over 1,500 Belvederes and Satellites rolled off the assembly line with the mighty 426 HEMI. But by 1967, production numbers had plummeted. Only 12 Plymouths were factory-ordered with this engine, and just 6 of them were Satellites. That makes the 67 HEMI Satellite one of the rarest Mopar muscle cars ever. In fact, no fully original numbers-matching example has ever been confirmed. The closest known car is a 1967 Satellite that originally had a 383 V8, but was later swapped with a 472 HEMI crate engine. That one sold at a Mecum auction for just $60,000, shockingly low given its pedigree. If a true factory-equipped 426 HEMI 67 Satellite ever surfaced, it could easily be worth $500,000 or more. Number 9. 1970 Plymouth GTX. First hitting the scene in 1967, the Plymouth GTX was built on the Belvedere platform and marketed as a gentleman's muscle car thanks to its perfect mix of power and luxury. While the Roadrunner was all about bare-bones speed, the GTX offered a more refined, high-performance ride. By 1970, the GTX got a major redesign, ditching its sharp, boxy look for a sleeker, more aerodynamic style. Performance was always a priority, and every GTX came with serious power under the hood. Either a 440 V8 or the legendary 426 HEMI V8. Only 72 GTX were factory-built with the 426 HEMI in 1970, making them exceptionally rare today. It's unclear exactly how many still exist, but they're definitely few and far between. One of these elusive 4-speed models hit the auction block at Mecum Kissimmee in 2019, selling for $110,000, a price many muscle car enthusiasts would call an absolute bargain. Number 8. 1970 Dodge Super B. When Dodge introduced the Super B in 1968, it became the first Mopar muscle car with an official mascot. Built on the Coronet two-door coupe platform, the Super B got its name from the B-body designation and the Scat Pack performance package, which featured its signature bumblebee stripe. It was designed to be a no-frills, high-performance machine, Dodge's answer to the stripped-down muscle car craze. Most people associate the Super B with the 446 Pack V8, but it also had an ultra-rare 426 HEMI option. In 1970, Dodge sold 1,556 Super Bs, yet only 36 of them came with the legendary HEMI under the hood, making it one of the scarcest Mopar muscle cars ever. Despite its rarity, the 1970 Super B remains surprisingly undervalued. Some have sold for just over $100,000 in recent years, far less than what a car this rare and powerful. One particularly well-restored 4-speed HEMI Super B, one of only 21 built that year, was bid up to $199,000 on Bring a Trailer. However, it still didn't meet the reserve price and ended up going unsold. Number 7. 1970 Dodge Coronet RT. The Dodge Coronet nameplate has a long history, first hitting the market in 1949 as a large luxury car, available even as an 8-passenger limousine. By the 4th generation, it took on a sportier persona, featuring the Chrysler 354 Firepower V8, the first version of the legendary HEMI engine. By the 1960s, the Coronet had become Dodge's best-selling model, offered in 2-door, 4-door, and wagon configurations. While many were built for everyday family use, the Coronet turned into a true street beast when equipped with the mighty 426 HEMI. In 1970, the last year before the model was discontinued, only 14 Coronets rolled off the factory line with the HEMI, making them one of the rarest Mopar muscle cars ever. While some have sold for over $100,000, many on the market today are replicas or modified restorations. A fully original 1970 HEMI Coronet recently sold for $247,500, though experts believe its real value could be even higher. One of the most special examples is a 1970 HEMI Coronet convertible, one of only two ever built, which was fully restored on the TV show Graveyard Cars. If that car ever goes up for sale, it could easily fetch a seven-figure price. Number 6. 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner. The Plymouth Roadrunner was built for one purpose: delivering raw muscle at an affordable price. It was a no-frills machine, and buyers could strip it down even further by skipping carpets, rear seats, or a radio. Many even came with basic steel wheels. The idea was simple: spend less on luxury and put that money toward a HEMI upgrade, an option plenty of enthusiasts took advantage of. Back in 1968, Mopar installed 2,289 HEMI engines across its lineup, and an incredible 1,900 of them ended up in Roadrunners. But by 1970, that number dropped drastically, with only 72 HEMI-powered Roadrunners leaving the factory. According to Classic.com, first-generation HEMI Roadrunners typically sell for around $73,936 on average, with past sales ranging from as low as $21,000 to as high as $275,000. These numbers come from 313 auction results over the last 5 years, though most involve 1968-1969 models. The 1970 versions, being far rarer, tend to bring in the biggest bucks at auction. Number 5. 1970 Dodge Charger RT. The second-generation Dodge Charger, 1968 to 1970, is one of the most legendary muscle cars ever made. Thanks to its starring roles in the Dukes of Hazzard and the Fast and the Furious franchise, it's one of the most recognizable Dodge models of all time. But while the Charger is famous, true HEMI-equipped models are incredibly rare. Out of the 2,532 second-generation Charger RT produced, only 872 were built with the 426 HEMI, and for the 1970 model year, just 112 buyers opted for the HEMI, making them exceptionally scarce. Beyond their low production numbers, many of these muscle car icons have been lost over the years, wrecked in movie stunts, totaled on the road, or simply worn out by time. While no one knows the exact number still around today, estimates suggest that only 15 to 50 genuine 1970 HEMI RT remain. Given that this is the most sought-after Charger generation combined with the most legendary Mopar engine, it's no surprise that surviving examples can command well over $350,000 at auction. Number 4. 1971 Dodge Charger. The third-generation Dodge Charger introduced a bold new Coke bottle design that divided opinions among collectors. But when it comes to value, HEMI-equipped models from this era have actually surpassed their second-gen predecessors. The 1971 model year was significant for two reasons. It marked the debut of the redesigned Charger, but it was also the final year for the legendary 426 HEMI. Unfortunately, HEMI production was on the decline. Only 356 Mopars were built with the powerhouse engine that year. Of those, just 85 were Chargers, making the new generation's launch underwhelming while also marking the end of an era for one of the most iconic engines ever made. Another key change in 1971 was the Super B's transition from a standalone model to a trim level within the Charger lineup. Only 22 Charger Super Bs were factory-equipped with a 426 HEMI, making them incredibly rare, though none have surfaced at auction in recent years. Meanwhile, the '63 Charger RT that left the factory with a Hemi have become highly sought-after collectibles, with pristine, well-optioned examples selling for over $500,000. Number 3. 1966 Dodge Coronet Deluxe 4-door. In 1966, the first year Dodge made the 426 Hemi available in production cars, someone had the wild idea to drop one into a 4-door Coronet Deluxe. It may have seemed odd at the time, but that decision created one of the rarest and most valuable Mopars ever built. Only 5 of these Hemi-powered 4 doors were ever produced, and incredibly, all 5 still exist today. Since they almost never hit the market, it's tough to pin down an exact value. However, back in 2007, a red 1966 Coronet Deluxe 4-door with a factory Hemi sold for a staggering $660,000 at a Barrett-Jackson auction. With inflation and the rising demand for ultra-rare muscle cars, its value today would likely be even higher. While the 4-door Coronet wasn't a separate model from its 2-door counterpart, it stands out enough to deserve its own place in Mopar history. Traditionally, 4-door sedans aren't seen as muscle cars, but when there's a 426 Hemi under the hood, all the rules go out the window. Number 2. 1970 Plymouth Superbird. It's hard to believe now, but when the 1970 Plymouth Superbird first hit the market, it was a total flop. Dealerships struggled to move them, and many sat unsold for years. Built as Plymouth's response to the Dodge Charger Daytona, the Superbird was based on the B-body Roadrunner, which is where it got its name. Its towering rear wing and extended nose cone, now iconic, were considered way too extreme at the time, turning off buyers and making sales sluggish. But what was once a sales disaster has since become one of the most valuable Mopars ever, regularly fetching 6-figure prices at auction. The most sought-after Superbirds are the ones equipped with the legendary 426 Hemi, now valued at over $1.65 million. Of the 1,935 Superbirds built, most came with the 444-barrel, 1,084 units, or the 446-pack, 716 units, while just 135 left the factory with a Hemi. With around 1,000 Superbirds still around today, the Hemi versions stand out as some of the rarest and most expensive Mopars ever made. Number 1. 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona. The 1968 Dodge Charger 500 was meant to be a NASCAR powerhouse, but aerodynamic flaws caused too much lift and drag, making it unstable and slower than expected. In response, Dodge went back to the drawing board and created the 1969 Charger Daytona, one of the most high-performance and aerodynamic muscle cars ever built. During testing, the Daytona exceeded all expectations, becoming the first car to break 200 miles per hour on the track while maintaining stability. But to compete in NASCAR, Dodge had to produce a minimum number of street-legal versions. Officially, 503 Daytonas were built. What's certain is that only 70 of those Daytonas came from the factory with a 426 Hemi under the hood, making them among the rarest and most valuable Mopars ever made. With its scarcity, NASCAR success, and unmistakable styling, the 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona is the ultimate B-body Hemi muscle car, regularly commanding prices close to $2 million at auction. That wraps up our list of the most valuable and rare Mopar muscle cars ever built. From high-powered Hemis to legendary NASCAR racers, these cars have cemented their place in automotive history, and their skyrocketing values prove it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more classic car content.